Many developers enter the tech industry expecting steady career progression: junior engineer, mid-level engineer, senior engineer. The path appears simple on paper, but in reality, a large number of developers spend many years at the same level. They continue writing code, contributing to projects, and maintaining systems. Yet their role inside the organization changes very little. Understanding why this happens requires looking at how companies evaluate technical influence. Now, salary breakdown. Early in a tech career, compensation often rises quickly. Developers learn new tools, frameworks, and development practices. Their productivity improves rapidly, and companies reward that growth. Many engineers move from roughly $110,000 to $150,000 within several years. However, the next step becomes more difficult. Moving from mid-level roles into senior engineering positions often requires more than simply writing clean code. Companies begin evaluating how an engineer influences systems beyond individual tasks. Now, market demand. Another reason the mid-level plateau appears is how organizations structure engineering work. Large companies often divide development into many specialized teams. Each team owns a small portion of the overall system and focuses on delivering features within that boundary. In this environment, mid-level engineers can remain highly productive for years without needing to understand the system beyond their immediate service. They write reliable code, complete tasks efficiently, and contribute to the team's backlog. However, promotion to senior roles usually requires a broader view. Companies look for engineers who can reason about dependencies between services, anticipate system failures, and guide technical decisions that affect multiple teams. Without exposure to those larger responsibilities, many capable developers remain in mid-level positions longer than expected. The technology industry continues to demand skilled engineers. Companies build new products, expand existing platforms, and maintain increasingly complex software systems. However, the demand for mid-level developers is often easier to satisfy than the demand for engineers who shape system architecture. Large organizations may have many developers capable of implementing features, but far fewer engineers understand how systems behave at scale. This difference affects how companies promote technical talent. Now, competition level. Another reason developers become stuck at mid-level is the increasing number of engineers entering the field. Universities expanded computer science programs, coding boot camps trained thousands of developers, online platforms made learning programming more accessible than ever before. This growth increased the number of engineers capable of performing mid-level development work. When many developers share similar skills, companies become more selective when promoting engineers to higher levels. Now, junior reality. Early career developers often focus primarily on mastering programming languages and frameworks. These skills are essential for entering the industry. However, technical growth eventually requires a deeper understanding of how software systems behave. Engineers who remain focused only on writing application code may find it harder to expand their influence within large engineering organizations. Now, long-term outlook. Despite these challenges, the technology industry still offers strong long-term career opportunities. Software continues to expand into every sector of the economy. Distributed systems, cloud infrastructure, and large data platforms require engineers capable of designing and maintaining complex technical systems. Developers who expand their knowledge beyond frameworks often discover new paths toward senior roles. Now, positioning strategy. Another pattern appears when engineers begin to think less in terms of tasks and more in terms of systems. Mid-level engineers are often evaluated by how effectively they complete assigned work. Senior engineers, however, are evaluated by how they shape the direction of technical work itself. They identify architectural risks before they become incidents. They design systems that reduce operational complexity. They help other developers move faster. This shift from execution to influence is often subtle. It does not happen through a single promotion or certification. Instead, it develops gradually as engineers begin to understand the deeper structure of the systems they work on every day. Those who make that transition often find that their career trajectory begins moving again. The key difference between mid-level and senior engineers often lies in system understanding. Senior engineers tend to focus less on individual features and more on how services interact across the system. They consider reliability, scalability, and long-term maintainability. Engineers who develop this broader perspective gradually influence how teams design software rather than simply implementing tasks. That influence often leads to career progression. Now, risk and resilience. Career stagnation can happen in any industry. The important factor is how developers respond when progress slows. Engineers who continue learning about infrastructure, distributed systems, and architecture often reopen paths toward senior positions. Those who remain within a narrow technical scope may experience slower, long-term career growth. Now, final verdict. Many developers become stuck at mid-level, not because they lack skill. They remain there because the industry eventually rewards engineers who influence systems rather than individual tasks. Understanding that transition is often the key to long-term progression in a technology career.